I personally feel very connected to the ocean. I always have. I've always loved sailing, swimming, surfing, diving, anything to do with being in the saltwater. I think maybe it's because that's where we all came from originally. We all evolved out of the ocean. One of the most beautiful bits of Cornwall is the Isles of Scilly, and there's over 60 islands, and only a few of them are inhabited. So lots of them are just wildlife sanctuaries that are just completely wilderness, and they're so beautiful. I'd sailed out to the Scilly Isles, and I was waiting for a couple of mates to come and join me. So I got in my canoe and went for a little paddle around an island called Agnes, and a wind came up out of nowhere and blew me across to a little island called Annet. So in the time that I was stuck there, I walked around the island and I was absolutely horrified to see how much trash there was washed up there. Plastic rubbish, like everywhere. But because they're the first bit of landfall for the ocean currents and the prevailing wind direction, they get a lot of rubbish. It's stuff that falls onto the west side of the islands that comes from the Gulf Stream. It's just really heartbreaking to see this beautiful last wilderness really so badly polluted. That was what really made me think, wow, made me see this problem is actually a lot bigger than I originally thought. We've got this big old boat. It used to be a fishing boat. I thought, let's go fishing again, but not for fish, for plastic. I want to devote every spare minute I have to trying to clean it up for the sake of the wildlife and the planet and future generations to enjoy. Our focus is to pick up as much plastic as possible. You can get quite good at guessing where the rubbish is likely to be, and it's usually in the hardest to get to places. This problem's getting worse and worse. We have to try. Even if it's not possible, well, so what? And we still have to try. The sheer quantity of plastic that ends up in the sea, and because of the energy that's in the waves, the wave action actually smashes it up into tiny little pieces, microplastics, which are so small you can't pick them up anymore. When it's in the tiny pieces, it's a worse pollution hazard because it can get ingested by creatures and it ends up in us. When we do our beach cleanups, whether it be local ones or far afield, we're really focused on the way that we do it. Every activity that we do, we feel it's really important that we're really mindful of our own negative impact on the planet. That's why we sail everywhere and row and paddle everywhere. It can be cleaned up in an environmentally friendly way. It's a great way to travel, and it's brilliant to be able to invite volunteers. Big nets and ropes, obviously lobster pots, things like that, they actually cause a physical entrapment risk for marine creatures. They actually get tangled up and stuck in there and physically injured. Try to think about this beautiful planet that we live on and how fragile she is. We're ruining our own home, and we really have to stop doing that. And there are thousands of different ways that you can do that. It's the best feeling in the world when you row away from that little beach with a big bag full of trash, and you've got every last little speck of plastic off, and that just makes me just feel immensely proud of what we do, and it starts to feel like a problem that we can actually solve. We have to, and I think if we all work together, I think we can. does actually sound like we literally are on that tipping point. I personally feel it's not too late, but it is bloody close, and I'm sure that humans are now clever enough to stop ruining the planet, but we absolutely must get on with it, and we must get on with it right now. After we've done a beach clean, we invite volunteers to help us, and we sail or row all the rubbish back to our little headquarters here in Gweek. We count and sort and weigh everything. The sorting is partly to keep data about it, but mainly so that the different plastic types can be recycled. It takes more than 30 years for a plastic bottle to smash up if it's in the sea. Since we started counting 4.5 years ago, our latest data shows just over 55 tonnes of plastic, which doesn't sound a lot, but plastic's actually not very heavy, so in volume it's absolutely huge. We worked it out to be 2,500 1-tonne bagfuls, which, if you put the dumpy bags on top of each other, would be 20 times the height of Big Ben. But unfortunately there's no plastic recycling in Cornwall, so we have to separate the different types of plastic from each other, and then it goes to the materials reclamation facility, which is in Exeter, and then it gets actually sold back into the recycling streams into projects like Odyssey Innovations kayaks, which entirely 100% beach found plastic, and then we actually use those kayaks to go and pick up more plastic. My name's Steve Green, and I really care about this beautiful planet. The question is, how much of a shit do you give?